We all use schedules, and when you don't use your schedule, you're probably a little confused and you probably miss out on some important things sometimes. So, using schedules for kids is nothing but an extension of what we all use in our lives. You may not even think about some of the schedules that you use or that you keep because it just becomes natural to you. But we all benefit from schedules. And during the school year, we hope that your schools are using schedules, and we hope that your schools are helping you devise the schedule that you need to help your child through each of the days. So, schedules. I know that I have a schedule and I have to keep a schedule. And there tends to be some days when there's so many things on the schedule that I just don't even get the opportunity to finish everything on my schedule. But the one thing is for sure that if I lost my schedule or I couldn't access my schedule, I would be in big trouble because I use it. And for kids on the autism spectrum, there's probably, I don't know, it'd be hard pressed to come up with a better and more important strategy inside a classroom, especially, than a visual schedule. Now, some kids use a schedule that is pictures. So they might have a schedule that's posted on the wall in the classroom, and it kind of goes from the top, which sometimes has their photo, and then each picture kind of after that is what's the next activity. Some kids use a traveling schedule, so the same sort of thing, except on a clipboard that they carry around the classroom. Some kids use an object schedule because they are just not yet able to make meaning from the pictures. So they might have, for instance, a block or a Lego or something to that effect that represents the play area of the classroom, or a sensory item that represents the sensory space in the classroom. And the teacher will give them that piece, and then they will transition to that area until such time that they're ready for a more mature type of schedule. Some kids use checkoff lists. Some kids pull off that card off the wall because it's Velcroed, and then they pop it in a box at the center where they have to go. Some teachers just use the schedule that's posted on the board. But every teacher uses a schedule, and every student who uses a schedule, a lot of times they need one that is unique to them and what is meaningful to them. And so just be cautious if your kid gets a little out of sorts in school and you ask them about the schedule and they have the same schedule for everybody, because maybe that schedule is not working for your child. Maybe they do need an object schedule or something that is more basic. And that includes students in a regular classroom. I know lots of kids on the autism spectrum in regular education, where most of them actually are, and they use a visual schedule in that classroom that is different than the one that the teacher posts on the front board. So don't be shy. Ask and talk to them about that. So what you want a schedule to do is depict the different activities that are coming up in that sequence, right? In order, so the kid knows this is what we do first, this is what we do next, and this is what we do next. There's even something called task analysis that is very much like a schedule. So it might be a specific task. So let's say the kids are working on, they're young children and they're working on drawing a house. And so the first thing on that, like the objects of that schedule, might be to get a crayon. Then the next thing is get a piece of paper. And then the next thing is to draw a square, and so on. So it breaks the task down into little pieces and increments. And especially for kids who are stressed out because they're really not sure what they're supposed to do and how they're supposed to do it, task analysis is wonderful. So talk to your schools about that if you haven't heard them talk about that before and you think it might be beneficial. So it's also going to show transitions. In a regular classroom, sometimes teachers will use like the sound of a bell, or just say, okay, time to rotate, and the kids will rotate within their schedules as the teacher is pulling the reading groups. Special education classrooms are much the same. You might hear a bell. She might just say, check your schedules, and the kids will then go to their schedules with whatever level of support they need. But it is meant to signify that, okay, this activity is done and we're moving on to the next thing. It kind of puts each activity in a box. And that's why actually a lot of times, even though parents freak out about it, middle school, when kids transition up to middle school, there's so much fear in every parent when their kid goes to middle school. But middle school is much more compartmentalized than elementary school. When you go to math class, you're only doing math. And for some kids, particularly with autism, they like that. They like that, oh, I don't have to worry about science in this class, or something like that. So, don't be afraid of that. Compartmentalization works for a lot of people. Schedules also promote independence, because what we find is a lot of times there'll be maybe a paraprofessional that will be guiding the child every single step of the day. And that is not good. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, but my kid needs a paraprofessional, and that support is so wonderful. And a lot of times, too, you have a registered behavior technician in school with your child, but you want to make sure that that person knows how to fade themselves, because life is not going to be filled with somebody on their hip. Nor do you want that. Nor will they want that when they're adults. Somebody always hanging out with them, telling them what to do every minute of the day. And so schedules do that. They help the person become more independent, so they can look at the schedule and they can get to the next activity on their own. You can create it for the whole day, for a half a day. You could break up, like I said, you could use task analysis in each section of the day, each little activity that happens. And so that's the beauty in it. And it really, it helps to prepare the kid for the routine of the day, because, some days we might have a fire drill or a code drill. And it kind of sets them up. So, today's going to be a little bit different because we're not going to have reading at the same time. It has to move up in the schedule, or it has to move down in the schedule, because the teacher knows that something else is going to be coming up. So prepares them for any changes that might be coming. And, just some of the benefits of a schedule is they're easily understood, especially for young children who are just kind of getting into school and are totally new to the whole situation. You want them to be able to have something else to support them other than somebody saying, okay, let's go over here, let's go over there, but something that they can learn how to refer to on their own. Reduces anxiety, because when any of us know what's coming up next, it reduces our anxiety. And when we don't know what's coming up next, of course, that's when our anxiety goes up. You get called into by the hospital because a loved one is in the hospital. Yeah, you're going to have a ton of stress and anxiety because you do not know what's going on inside the emergency room. So that is one of the biggest benefits of having that written or visual schedule. Helps establish healthy, constructive habits, right? So we could have a schedule for hygiene. So in the morning, getting up, having breakfast, brushing teeth, washing hands, getting dressed, whatever the routine is in your home, having that there, including, brushing hair as well, which for some kids is really hard, because I know some children who have very sensitive scalps. And so that might be a hardship in your home. So by having that schedule there to let them know this is kind of the routine, then they kind of get in the flow. And eventually, of course, they won't need that schedule in the morning because they know, okay, these are the things that we do in the order that we do them. Same thing with homework and whatever your routine is at the end of the day. They get home, maybe they have a break time, maybe they could use, I don't know if you use the iPad in your home, or maybe they go out and they go for a walk, or they go in the backyard and they play. Maybe they go on a playground down the street, and then they come home, they do their homework, or they go to therapies, whatever you guys have going on in your home. It's great for that. And it provides stability, because when things are uncertain, our stress goes up. So it gives them that at least perceived stable environment of knowing what's coming up and how to kind of make sense of the world. And it encourages independence. And I have talked to both teachers and parents alike that will say falsely that a visual schedule will reduce a child's independence. No, not at all. Again, I live by my schedule, and I'm sure that most of you do as well. Sometimes at night when I can't sleep, I write a list of the things that I need to do the next day. That helps me go to sleep because now it's not spinning around in my head. Now it's actually written down and I can refer to it in the morning. So if anybody tries to tell you that that is not true, and just plug forward and just remind them how we all use visual schedules. And it helps with developing executive functioning, such as time management and organization, which is so, it's kind of abstract, right? Time and knowing how long an activity is going to last so you can fit it within that time frame. It's really hard. But when you have a schedule, it kind of gives you tips and hints about how long something is going to take. And again, that will reduce anxiety because then you know, okay, this too shall stop and we're going to get to the end of this activity and then we're going to go on to the next thing. If you've got a kid who, dreads what's on the schedule, having that schedule that flip-flops, meaning maybe it's a non-preferred activity and then it goes to a preferred activity. And then maybe it's non-preferred again, and so on and so forth. So they know that if I could just get through this, something good is on the other side of that rainbow. Okay, all right. I hope you guys got some tips from this, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.